Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen.
Alright. It's episode 4 of Gettin Geeked with your host, me, Danny Allen. Today's gonna be pretty Marvel-centric. We have some rumors surrounding San Diego Comic-Con. I'm going to be reviewing Ms. Marvel, and I'm going to do a review of Thor, Love and Thunder. Oh, yeah. Thor, Love and Thunder. Yeah, that was quite the movie. Quite the movie that was. Before I get into that, I have an announcement of sorts. So, I was uploading the podcast to Spotify, the whole video version, except for last week, the podcast was 7 gigs, and for some reason Anchor didn't want to upload it. So from now on, if you want the video version of the podcast, it's going to be exclusively on YouTube. You heard that correctly. Exclusively. Exclusive on YouTube, and the audio only version of the podcast will be Spotify. So that's the announcement. Because it literally took me all day on Friday. Last Friday, I was trying to upload the podcast onto Anchor, which then puts it onto Spotify. And YouTube has no problem uploading the podcast in a video format. So something on Anchor's end, I have no idea what's going on with that, but it's just too anxiety inducing, not knowing if the podcast is going to be up on time. And I definitely want it to be up on time on Fridays, so all you guys can listen to it on Friday. So I want everything to be uniform and structured. So yes. Should I get into these rumors? Let's get into the rumors. So, San Diego Comic-Con is coming up. Was it next weekend? Yeah, next weekend. And if I'm not going to talk about all the rumors, just one specifically. Last week, I talked about X-Men and how I didn't think they were going to announce anything regarding the X-Men. Well, I think that's changed now. And then I also misspoke about the Fantastic Four. I think I said that the Fantastic Four has a director. I totally spaced. John Watts actually backed out of the movie a few months ago because he's going to be directing Star Wars. So, yeah, Fantastic Four doesn't have a director now. One of the rumors. Okay, I'll talk about one rumor that has to do with D23, and then the other talking about San Diego Comic-Con. Rumor has it they want Steven Spielberg to be involved with the new Fantastic Four. Steven Spielberg, you heard me correctly. I'm totally down. Now, the casting is a whole nother story. Rumor is they want Amanda Seyfried? I don't know how to say her last name. The chick from Jennifer's Body, the blonde. They want her to be Sue Storm. And get this. They want Joe from You, the show You. The guy that plays Joe. I don't know his name. Somebody in the comments can tell me. Google search. Google it. They want him to be Mr. Fantastic. Not like we already knew, not John Krasinski. Mic drop. How do you guys feel about that? And the rumor is they want Joe Keery from Stranger Things, Steve. They want him to be the Human Torch. Human Torch. I think I'm kind of cool with that casting. I could see that. I don't really like Amanda as an actress. I just don't see it. I mean, she's a blonde. She could do Sue Storm. I just don't think that's the right part for her for some reason. I don't know. And the guy from You, yeah, I could see that. I just think it's kind of counterintuitive to bring in John Krasinski in Doctor Strange, throw it in the fan's face like, hey, you guys wanted it. Here he is. And then you're going to pull it right back. Psych. Not anymore. Multiverse. Psych. I think that's kind of messed up. I don't know. I don't think that's supposed to be the news for D23. So I'm not expecting any Fantastic Four news for Comic-Con. I think that they have to push it now that John Watts isn't directing it. The rumor I really want to talk about. Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X. Professor X. Oh my god. It's the guy from Breaking Bad. It's the guy from The Boys. It's the guy from The Mandalorian. I don't want him to be Professor X for those reasons. He's a great actor. Top-notch, wonderful actor. 2 reasons why I don't want it. He's being oversaturated in the market currently. He's in everything. 2, how old is he? This breaks my rule. Cast young so you can go on for 20 years. So 2 reasons why I don't like that. He's too old. And I know that Professor X is supposed to be the mentor role. You know what I'm saying? But he's almost like, he's got to be in his 50s, late 50s, early 60s or something. The dude is up there, okay? That's not really old, but that's old for the character as an entry point. Okay? So I don't really like that idea as him being Professor X. I really don't. Cast young, 20 years. He's overused. But hey, next weekend, if they announce this at Comic-Con, I think everybody's going to be freaking out. But I do think there's going to be a small minority of people that are going to be upset. Because Professor X, they just cast James McAvoy. Granted, that was for Fox. But they literally, I do this every week, literally cast a younger Professor X. The whole character's not played out. It's just, dude, like, stick to something. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Giancarlo Esposito will be a good Professor X? I think people wanted him to be Magneto. That's what the fan castings were. They have like mock-ups of him as Magneto, but it'd be interesting to see him as a Professor X. They also are rumoring, is that even a word? It's also rumored that I didn't watch Top Gun 2. One of those actors is going to be Cyclops. Not Miles Teller, not Tom Cruise. One of the other guys. He's like 33 or something. That's not too bad for Cyclops. You know, if they're already established as the X-Men. They already have to be doing missions, like I said last week. I want them to already be in the shit, in the thick of it. Already doing missions, covert missions. So that's the only rumor I want to talk about for Comic-Con. I don't really like talking about rumors until they're confirmed. If you want a list of these rumors, go over to Reddit, type in Marvel Studios spoilers, and it'll come right up in the thread. And everybody's talking about it. Talking about Blade. There's a bunch of different rumors going around. Don't know if they're true. So, talking about the X-Men. Miss Marvel wrapped up season 1. It was decent. Let's talk about the positives. I think it was shot very well. The directing was fire. I think the first episode and the last episode were directed by the dudes that did Bad Boys, the latest Bad Boys, and they're currently directing Batgirl. They did the first and last episodes of Miss Marvel. They might have done one or some other ones, but I'm pretty sure it's the last in the first episode. They did a great job with this character. I had no interest in Miss Marvel as a character, and now I'm interested. I'm interested. Now, what do I want to go see the Marvels in the theaters? It's not at the top of my list. Definitely not at the top of my list. But as far as Miss Marvel goes as a Disney Plus show, it did surprise me. It was a little... So, okay, my positives. The family dynamic was a positive. Likeable. Good morals. That's just like, that's what I took away from the show, the family dynamic. I heard a lot of people saying that if this show had no powers and it was just about this girl and her family, it would be a good show. And then I kind of disagree with that, because that's, it's Marvel. We want to see powers. Got everybody on a motorcycle right here. Okay, so Miss Marvel wrapped up. Spoiler alert. She's a mutant. Yeah, she's a mutant. What the most random spot to announce the mutants in the MCU is a Miss Marvel show on Disney Plus. Kevin Feige is expecting the general audience to just watch Miss Marvel in order to understand how the mutants are getting established in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just very odd to me. Very odd. Yeah, so we know that the MCU is nothing like the comic books. Okay? And that's fine. It's allowed to be different. It's allowed to be different. But when you're talking about the X-Men, why? Why bring it up in Miss Marvel? She's already an Inhuman. They already have Anson Mount Black Bolt coming back in the Multiverse of Madness. Again, throwing it in our faces and then taking it away from us. Like, here's your toys. No, you can't have your toys. What's going on with that? What is going on? So, yeah, the finale, they announced that she's a mutant. Wannabe Peter Parker, Bruno. That's like the one character I did not like in the show. Bruno. I heard he tried out for Peter Parker. Yeah, and it looks like he's trying to imitate Peter Parker the whole show. It's distracting. He's distracting, and he could stay at MIT or Caltech or wherever he was going in California. He could stay there. I don't care about him. It's just one of those best friend tropes that I don't really care for it. I don't care for it. So, she's a mutant. They teased at the end the X-Men theme. Cool. And then we have the post-credit scene was she swaps places out of nowhere with Captain Marvel. I would like this a lot better if Captain Marvel had anything to do with this show at all. She doesn't. The only reason Captain Marvel is in the show now at the post-credits scene is because Kamala loves Captain Marvel, and there's posters of Captain Marvel on her wall, and she looks up to Captain Marvel. That's it. And the story has nothing to do with Captain Marvel. Nothing. It's just out of nowhere, and it's disjointed. That's just me. Yeah, it was cool to see her. That's cool. She'll be in the Marvels. But as far as the post-credits scene, it was just out of place, dude. And then, as far as disjointed goes, the editing of the episodes and the whole flow of the show was pretty disjointed, especially when they did the flashback episode. And then she's like back in time, and then she's changing, like, she sees what happens, but she brings back a picture, so like she's really there. It's just very weird. I don't know. Miss Marvel. What did you guys think about Miss Marvel? It wasn't bad. Like I said before, these Marvel shows aren't like terrible. They're passable. But that I have higher standards for Marvel Studios at this point. We just found out that they're putting a lot of stress and pressure on these VFX houses, overworking these VFX people. And And you can tell because the CGI of all these shows and movies these past, I say, this is going to be a hot take. Since Civil War for me, it's been going downhill. It's very noticeable CGI. It's not smooth at all. Floating Tony Stark head in Civil War, things like that. Wonky blue screen. And then this news report comes out that it's because the VFX houses are quitting and they're refusing to work with Marvel Studios because of how they treat their people. Like, that's like, what's going on here? It's because they're putting out like 10 projects a year. Way too many projects. If you have to pressure the VFX people and they can't make it look crispy and make it look nice on time in a decent time, and you're not taking advantage of them, go for it. But as soon as you start sacrificing the quality for quantity, that's when I have a problem with it. Don't put out that many projects. People were complaining about the She-Hulk trailer, how it looked pretty mid, and how the CGI was wonky. And then they're like, oh, that's just a trailer, blah, 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 blah. If it's not ready to go, don't put out a trailer for it. It's not ready. We are way past all that stuff. Just give us a poster or something. Make sure that CGI is peak and make sure it's mint. So it's complaint proof. Complaint proof. I don't know. Marvel Studios is. I sense the tide is turning in the fandom of comic book movies. Everybody was praising Marvel Studios, Disney, MCU's the best. But now that Phase 4 has been so disjointed, people are starting to notice they aren't the best. They do have faults, and they are starting to slip. I hope, for their sake, that San Diego Comic-Con goes well for them. I hope they bring out some big announcements, or else the community will revolt. I don't know if they'll revolt, but they're going to be upset. They're going to be upset. So, that's my Miss Marvel take, and some other takes regarding Marvel. What else? Okay. Coming next on Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen, we've got Thor: Love and Thunder review. I'm going to be talking spoilers. If you haven't seen it by now, then you have no intention on seeing it. So I'm going to be spoiling the shit out of this movie. Taika Waititi's back at it with his humor, with his comedy. I'm going to preface this whole conversation with, dude, I love What We Do in the Shadows, Taika's vampire show, and the movie. That show's peak comedy. Dude's hilarious when he's doing that thing. But I am now not feeling his Marvel take on Thor. I liked Thor: Love and Thunder. I gave it a 3.5 B-. I gave it a minus, and I'm going to talk to you why I gave it a minus. The humor, dude. I grew up in the era where parody movies were at the peak. You know, Scary Movie 3, 4 was boom, boom. We had disaster movie, superhero movie, and then we had Meet the Spartans. Why do I bring up Meet the Spartans? Because this movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, it felt like Meet the Spartans. Spartans! It felt like Meet the Spartans, dude. It's literally, I'm trying not to get frustrated here. They don't take these characters seriously at all anymore. There's stakes, and then they undercut it with humor, with jokes. Jane has cancer. So, it's a tough storyline. We gotta lace this movie with humor. And it's not even laced anymore. It's just, they're not even trying. And you can tell, obviously, Chris Hemsworth had fun with it. Because Thor is supposed to be a thespian Norse god. And Chris said he was bored with the first two Thor movies, and you could tell he was bored. That doesn't change the fact that Thor is a Norse god. And I'm not trying to bring up Zack Snyder, but come on, dude. Do you want Thor to be like Meet the Spartans? Or do you want Thor to be like 300? Because right now, it's like Meet the Spartans. And yes, Ragnarok was funny. But there was at least a balance, dude. There was a balance. And that balance was barely there for me with Ragnarok. It was on the verge of being a parody, but not quite. This film just straight up goes comedy. And I kind of feel bad for Christian Bale, because Homeboy didn't want to do superhero movies. You know, they cast him as Gore, the God Butcher. He only butchers the one god in the opening scene. And then everything else happens off camera. He's the best part of the movie for me. And the way they shot him in the shadows with his glowing eyes. Some of the cinematography in this film was lit. Everything that has to do with Gore in this movie was lit. And then they go over to Asgard and to New Asgard. And they're basically... It reminds me... They turned it into a Renaissance festival, dude. Like, this is the Asgardians now? They're a tourist attraction now? Really? Really? Thanos has an ice cream shop? I don't even know. It's called Infinity Ice Cream or something? Really? It's just things like that. And people are complaining about... this is a little all over the place. Bear with me here. The whole Meet the Spartans angle. Zeus is... Homeboy had fun with it, right? Like Russell Crowe, he had fun with Zeus, obviously. But they had him in, his pairing, what do you call it? Messing with his skirt. Very feminine take on Zeus. And these gods are very arrogant. Yes, they are. But at what point is it just Meet the Spartans 2? At what point do you have to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, bro, these characters, they deserve to be taken seriously still. Yeah, you're a funny guy, but come on, man. Bring it back a little bit. You got Valkyrie saying like, oh, I got my weapons. And then she holds up a boombox and she's like, is that a grenade? Like, no, it's a speaker, it's a speaker. And then you got this pop hit from the 2000s, like, I don't know, it's like Jennifer Lopez or something. Like, dude, Valkyrie's not even from Earth. Why? How would she even know about that song? And how is that even like a thing for her? Like she grew up in the early 2000s. It's just it took me out of the movie, dude. And it kind of pisses me off because when this film gets dark, it gets super dark. Gore is super focused into this. He had no one-liners. He had a good story, and it was undercut by this humor. Thor, he got comfortable, he was like, oh, I can battle, this is no problem. And some of the humor worked, like the screaming goats worked. Those kind of things worked. Even the Guardians were like looking at him like, dude, like, we're gonna go. Like, we can't do this. They're like, you know what, this is just too much for us. Even us. The Guardians like, we can't do this, we're out of here. So, I don't know. I had a real love-hate relationship with Love and Thunder. And and then the ending, Gore wins, but then then Thor, convinces Gore that I'm gonna go hang out with my love, which is cool. I expected, maybe I just gotta stop expecting Marvel to be top notch now. I'm just gonna assume I have to accept it because I ate an edible. I went into this movie because I saw the trailers, so I knew it was gonna be a comedy. So I immediately lowered my expectations. I said, you know what? I'm gonna eat an edible. I'm gonna go see this movie, and I'm just gonna go with it. And for it, they knew it was gonna be. They made the movie knowing it was gonna be dumb, fun. Okay. So they nailed what they wanted to do. But for me, as a Thor fan, Dark World was the best. And yeah, come at me, bro. Thor, Dark World was the best. Had the best Loki relationship with Thor. All that stuff with Odin. Thor's mom. Malekith was not that great. He was fine. But the overall tone, I want Thor, and I try not to watch movies of like what I want and take it for what it is. But for what they gave us, for what it is whack. It's whack at some point. It's a spoof. It's a spoof. When do we... Again, do you want 300 or Meet the Spartans? Thor, if I was directing Thor, dude, I'd be like, all right, Lord of the Rings, 300. Boom. Go for it. But no, dude, they want to lean into this whole spoof angle. Taika's like, gotta prove himself that he's a funny guy. Like, get it? We get it, Taika. Get it, dude. We know you're funny. Challenge yourself, dude. Challenge yourself. I'm worried for him, for his Star Wars project. I don't know if I want him to direct a Star Wars movie now. Because he didn't direct the script for Ragnarok. He directed... He didn't write the script for Ragnarok. He actually wrote the script for Love and Thunder. So this is what it is when it's all Taika. No, dude. Bring it back. Reel it in. Reel it in. And then on top of that, we're hearing that Marvel Studios or Disney, Bob Chapek, they gave Taika a mandate where the movie had to be under 2 hours, and the movie was 1 hour and 59 minutes. Like, at the sacrifice of your story, you're gonna, because it plays like a comedy, and it's like, because they want a couple more screenings per day. That's all that is. It's all money driven. Taika doesn't like director's cuts, but he'll cut Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey. They paid her $7 million to be in this new movie. She's not even in it. Those are like top A-list actors, and they cut them from the movie. And then he's like, "Oh, the deleted scenes are because they're not worth being in the movie." It's like, dude, you had a lot of scenes in that movie that could have been cut. I want a Thor edit where there's no comedy. They cut out everything. Because I want a serious Thor. I'm tired of all this comedy stuff, dude. Like, every once in a while, it's cool to have a joke. But at the suspense, at this, putting your character, first. Thor's making fun of Sif, for going to battle by herself, and she's like losing it. She lost an arm, and he's making jokes. It's just sad, dude. And like I said, it's a good movie, dude. If you turn off your brain and you eat an edible and you get drunk or whatever, beep 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 beep, then you'll have a really good time with this movie, and that's fine. Beep beep. Okay, but when you're comparing it to Infinity War and Endgame, we get it. You're selling stuff. We get it. Come on, dude. What are you doing? Why do they... And Kevin Feige, dude, he just has no problem with letting each of these directors do what they want within the parameters of their story. Taika didn't even know Thor was going to be back. He didn't know. But you don't tell your directors the overall plan. Taika's like, oh, I have no idea what's going on in any other movies. I just kind of do my thing, and if Marvel tells me I can't do it, then that's that. So that's why people think all these movies are disjointed. Because nobody's talking. Nobody's collaborating anymore. Yeah, and it's cool that each director gets their own voice. But they have to have some kind of through line, dude. And it's just... It really bugged me, dude. The comedy. Meet the Spartans. I'm going to keep saying it, dude. It was Meet the Spartans. And that's what I have to say about Thor Love and Thunder. I didn't really... It's not my favorite Thor movie, but it's not the worst movie ever. And that's my problem with it. It's like, come on, dude. What are you doing? What are you doing? So, yeah. What do you guys think about Thor, Love and Thunder? Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. And come at me, because yes, Thor the Dark World is the best Thor movie. It has some humor, and it also has that Lord of the Rings vibe, sci-fi vibes thrown in there. It's just very telling where Marvel's going at this point. I hope they stick to landing with San Diego Comic-Con. I'm not interested in Blade because Wesley Snipes is peak. That's a whole. You want to get into this Blade stuff? Wesley Snipes is Blade. He is Blade. I don't care about any other Blade. And yes, I will argue they should have brought him into the MCU. Have him already be active. Make those other films canon. Do it. Do it. Because you're not going to get any better than that. You're not. They already tried to have a Blade series with Sticky Fingers in the early 2000s. It was like on TNT. And it sucked. You know why? Because Wesley Snipes wasn't in it. So yeah, I hope Mahershala Ali's ready for it. Because he's got some big shoes to fill, bruh. He's got some big shoes to fill. And, you know, people are complaining about Blade's one-liners. It's like, that's why Blade is dope. Why motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill? Like what the fuck? Deacon Frost. Dude was a sick-ass villain. Those movies are rugged, R-rated, bloody, violent, gory, blood raves. You think Marvel is going to do that after watching Thor, Love and Thunder? You think they're going to lean into the gore and the blood and the violence that Blade absolutely needs? No, they're not. No, they're not. And I guarantee you, I don't think that Blade movie is going to have any blood in it. And if they do have blood in it, it's going to be very minimal. It's going to be very minimal. And I'm worried. I'm worried for Blade, and that's why it's at like the bottom of my list. I just don't want Blade in the MCU. I just don't care about Blade anymore. It's just Blade was the best with Wesley Snipes. Even Blade Trinity, the third Blade movie. At least that movie had Dracula. And yeah, you can complain about Ryan Reynolds, but dude, like that's the least like of my worries with Blade Trinity. You had Dracula. You had Guillermo del Toro directing Blade 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, put some respect on Blade. And I don't think they're going to. Especially after this Thor Love and Thunder drama. They're making a parody. If they're gonna do Blade, they need to do it the correct way. And I think and that goes for Daredevil as well. They're gonna have a PG-13 Daredevil over on Disney Plus, and they already set a standard. Netflix and the Marvel television, they already set a high standard for Daredevil. Gory, bloody, violent, cinematography, the writing, Kingpin, the villains. They already set this high standard. So, and from what we're getting on Disney Plus, I know for a fucking fact that Daredevil, the new revamped Daredevil, will not be as good as the Netflix show. Even with Charlie Cox, even with Vincent D'Onofrio coming back. Because we've seen enough Disney Plus from Marvel at this point. We know their quality and their standards. They're lower. They're absolutely lower. Yeah, Iron Fist was a misstep on Netflix. That's one. Disney Plus they've had over a handful of Disney Plus shows, and all of them were just passable. They were okay. Some will argue WandaVision was peak, but they fumbled the ending on WandaVision. Loki had the writing, the grand scale writing, but it was kind of slow, and but when it hit hard. So yeah, I'm very, very worried for Blade, Daredevil, anything that has to do with violence, because Marvel is just pivoting. They're pivoting into this comedy spoof area, and they're fine with it. they're leaning into it. So at what point you can't fault them, because that's just their default. They want to be comedies. They want to make comedies. So I'm not putting them on the pedestal anymore. I'm taking Marvel Studios off the pedestal. And I'm not DC. I don't want to do a Marvel versus DC type rant. But DC made Joker. That movie is a film, dude. Violent, gory, R-rated. And it's a DC movie. And has funny moments. All that stuff. It's taking it seriously. It's for adults. I know Marvel's for kids. It's for children. It's like, so is DC. But you know what? All these kids that read comic books back in the day, they're adults now. And we want some levity in some gravitas into these characters now. Not just some Saturday morning cartoon romp like Thor, Love and Thunder. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What do you guys think about Marvel Studios and their overall acceptance that they're the comedy people now, and they're the spoof studio that likes to take advantage of the VFX artists, and they want to throw out some schlock and expect all of us to enjoy it just because it's got Marvel Studios. I'm not down with that, dude. I'm gonna watch it. Of course I'm gonna watch it because I'm a fan of Marvel. But come on, dude. You guys, and I said this before, Endgame was their peak. It's their peak. And they're like, well, No Way Home was great. Yeah, No Way Home was a Sony movie when it comes down to it. No Way Home doesn't happen without Sony's involvement. It just doesn't happen. What do you guys think? Am I wrong? Phase 4, everybody says that, is disjointed. Why is it disjointed? Because we've had 10 projects this year, and we don't even know where it's going. We have all these realms. Miss Marvel's a djinn, but now she's a mutant. So, and there's another plane that the djinns have. And then we have Moon Knight with the Egyptian gods, and with their realm of death or whatever. And then you have like eternity in Thor, and all these gods, all the gods in Thor, they're all they're all chilling together, and they're all relevant. They all exist. So, but that just means, unless you believe in that certain god, that's where you're gonna go. And it's just not cohesive, man. It's just not cohesive. But I'm gonna wrap up this whole Marvel stuff. What do you guys think about Phase 4? And their whole process. They're leaning into the humor. They're using it as a crutch. That's when it comes down to it. B-. Thor. Some more Daily Beef. I'm going to call this show the Daily Beef instead of Gettin Geeked. Nah, I like Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Coming up next on Gettin Geeked. We got the Munsters, bro. The Munsters trailer. Suddenly everybody's a diehard Munsters fan. And they're outraged, bro. People are outraged. People are mad about the Munsters. But you know what? They're not mad at the Munsters. They're mad because Rob Zombie is directing the Munsters. Every time Rob Zombie has a movie, dude, for some reason people hate Rob Zombie. They hate him. Oh, you've ruined Michael Myers. You've ruined Halloween. No. He made his own Halloween films the way he wants it. He actually was creative. He had the balls to make Michael Myers the way he thought Michael Myers should be. His own take. They're not just doing some rehashed shit that the current Halloween movies are doing. Oh, well, when they announced The Munsters was going to be directed by Rob Zombie, everybody assumed, oh, is this going to be R-rated? And is it going to be like some trailer trash humor? And they're going to live in a trailer? And is this going to be some grimy grit from Rob Zombie? I thought that too. But you know what? I was hyped for that. If that's what Rob Zombie wanted to do, was to turn the Munsters into some crazy family, like some House of a Thousand Corpses type stuff, I would have been down for that. But no. Rob Zombie's like respecting what came before, And it's PG-13. It's family friendly. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm a fucking Munsters diehard fan, like the entire internet is. Apparently, they binge the Munsters every weekend or whatever the fuck. Like they're diehard, like they own the box set. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. You are not a Munsters fan. I want all the Munsters fans to comment, to hit me up and to tell me why they're Munsters fans and why they're upset. That trailer was fine. It wasn't very funny. It seems like Rob Zombie has his own thing, and people either like that thing or they don't like that thing. So when he came out and announced, "Hey, I'm doing the Munsters, and it's gonna be PG. It's gonna be PG, like for kids, okay? Not PG-13, not PG-13 for kids. PG. Okay, so you gotta have your standard set. Boom, PG. He's gonna do his own thing. The one thing I really enjoyed about that Munsters trailer, even though it wasn't that funny, I didn't find any humor in it. Maybe a kid will. I liked the lighting. It seemed very okay. House of a Thousand Corpses had this blue hue the whole movie, this blue light, and then the rest of his films are like very dirty, tan, beige, because he made a statement saying, "I like my movies to be more grounded and gritty." But now the Munsters is like the opposite. So he's going back to that lighting technique that I really enjoyed from House of a Thousand Corpses. So you have this green hue, blue hues, like all this neon type glowing lights in the Munsters trailer. I really liked it. As far as the characters and all that, it looks like the Munsters, bro. It looks like the Munsters. He even does the intro where they're bursting through the doors, and there's a side by side. They recreated it. It's like, what more do you want from a Munsters project? Are you really that upset that Rob Zombie's directing a Munsters project that you're gonna cry about it? Yeah, it wasn't that funny. It seems like they wanted to do like a What We Do in the Shadows type comedy. But from what I saw, it was fine. It's fine. The lighting was the best aspect for me. Am I rushing to see the Munsters? No, I'm not. Because I'm not a Munsters fan. I'm an Addams Family fan. So yeah, I'll check out the Munsters when it comes out. But I'm not going to cry about it and say, "Oh, he's ruining the Munsters. He's ruining the Munsters project. And I was so excited for the Munsters reboot." Who the fuck is excited about a Munsters reboot? Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Come on, people. Really? And one thing it reminded me of, for my 90s kids over here, it reminded me of Beetleborgs. You know, with the Frankenstein type, the wacky clothes, even the way it's shot. Some people are like, "Oh, it seems like it was a 90s commercial for like Super Soakers or something." Just a wacky 90s commercial. I'm down. I'm down for that. Y'all want to get wacky and let Thor be a fucking parody of himself, but when it comes to the Munsters, they're not allowed to have fun? Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. I don't know. Something to think about. Are you a Munsters fan? What do you have to say about Rob Zombie directing the Munsters? If you're a diehard fan, let me know why in the comment sections. Let me know why I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. They're acting like the Munsters was like the Citizen Kane of fucking comedy back in the day. Like they set some fucking high standard or something. Am I wrong? No. No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Munsters. Comment below, let me know what's going on. I think that's going to wrap up the show, guys. I talked about this Comic-Con stuff. D23. We'll see what happens next week. I'm going to have one more episode. So Comic-Con starts Thursday. I record the podcast on Thursdays. we probably won't get any announcements for Marvel until Saturday. But peep my TikTok and YouTube, because I'm going to be doing coverage on everything that has to do with Marvel, DC, anything major that's coming out of Comic-Con. I'm going to cover it. And then I'll have one more podcast that Friday. And then maybe some stuff will be announced. And I'll talk about it. But the majority of my discussions for Comic-Con is going to be short TikToks. And then not next week, the following podcast, I will have a full breakdown of what exactly happened at Comic-Con. And I'll get a full feel of like where the fandom is like sitting with this whole Marvel stuff. If they even announced the X-Men. Fucking crazy, dude. What are they doing with the X-Men? What are they doing, bro? They have the animated series theme song, not once but twice. They're teasing us twice with this. Miss Marvel and the Multiverse of Madness. They're making Miss Marvel a mutant, not an Inhuman. Rumor is Anson Mount's coming back yet again as Black Bolt. It's like, what the fuck? It's very, very all over the place. That's Marvel Studios for you. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, guys. What do you guys think about all this news stuff today? Very Marvel-centric. I had to talk about Thor. I had to talk about Miss Marvel. You're listening to Gettin Geeked with your host, Danny Allen. Have a good day and go fuck yourself.
Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen.